fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction, he's got everything outside of both of them! Maloney!
Oh, he's taken Anderson! Anderson's up top!
Oh my god! Big crash! Oh my goodness, half the field's gonna get rolled!
It's very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly.
Oh, there we go! Oh no!
That's massive! This is it! This is over! I can't believe this! Oh my god!
God, what?
This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
After a week break to regather the thoughts of the drivers and to get a bit of focus back out on the circuit and racing again, we are back for week number 5, round 5 of the Murray Bridge Bin Manufacturing and Down Under Graphics Australian Sprint Car Series here at Lanier Speedway in USA. My name is Jay Kennedy. Alongside me tonight, as always, the birthday boy today. Happy birthday to Cameron Dance. Cam, it's going to be a really, really cool night of racing. We love this track. It always turns on a really good show.
Yeah, for sure. It's quite a bit different compared to what we had last time out at USA Speedway, with which was much flatter, much longer, and pretty much a completely different track to what we've got tonight, which is very banked, very short. So going to be really, really exciting tonight, and can't wait for it.
100%. A little bit different in regards to format tonight as well. We get away from the 30-lap main. We go to a 35-lap main tonight. So what that will mean is the racing will be a bit longer. It will mean that the intensity levels will rise a little bit. Of course, a shorter track, much shorter track from what we've seen in previous rounds. A lot more circular than oval as well, with, as you said, the bank turns. So it's a really, really difficult track, this one, isn't it? It's very, very deceiving on how to tackle it.
Yeah, for sure. It's one of those tracks where you go, it's pretty much one line, but it's actually not. It's a really, really weird track because while it looks completely banked, it's actually not. You've actually got a sort of a apron / flat, but right down by the inside fence. So it does make it really, really interesting, especially when the track starts to slick up and you start to see a lot of guys really pedaling it along the bottom against that wall, trying to find the grip and extra moisture in the track that there possibly could be down there.
As we said before, we are halfway through this championship, 4 rounds down, 4 rounds to go. Current championship standings are as on screen. Alex Bergeron leading the way. The points gap looks rather huge, but a fairly big chunk of points for winning a race as well. So about 750 points for a round win. So Bergeron, while he's in the lead, it's not all over. Of course, drivers do get one drop round as well. So the likes of Lewis Hewitt, Joel Berkeley, still in with a shot, but Brenton Hobson will be rather happy sitting in P2 at the moment. Brett Wheeler as well has had a good show in the last 2 rounds as well.
Yeah, for sure. It's going to be all about just consistency at this point. You're only 4 rounds in at the stage, so still got a bit more racing to go, but yeah, it's going to be all about just getting those points. And looking at the table, like you said, there's pretty much the top 5, if not top 8 even, still with a shot because of that drop round. So it's really going to be about making sure you get those points in and just get some consistent results instead of possibly getting a DNF for very small amount of points.
And tonight's race, as we said, it'll be a little bit longer at 35 laps, but that will mean that the intensity levels will rise. Again, a little bit of a smaller field again tonight. We've got a few drivers that are unable to attend, and at the moment, Brett Wheeler again. At the moment, this is 4 out of 5 rounds that he's on top of the timesheets in practice, so he's doing a very, very good job at the moment. James Rice and Trent Gostley next in the queue, but there's a few drivers that are a little bit further back in this practice session at the moment than we would have expected. The likes of Joel Berkeley way back in the field at the moment. Alex Bergeron as well, back fairway as well.
Yeah, for sure. Practice isn't really something to gauge the times off, like we saw last week at Bergeron was a little bit down the field in practice, but absolutely just annihilated everyone. And the qualifying session taking pole by quite a margin. So it's a little bit different. And the other thing to take into account is the track is actually wearing down further and further as the practice session is going on. So times are obviously going to be a little bit different compared to what someone has maybe done earlier in the session compared to what someone might do at the end. So it's really going to be a little bit different. And looking at the track, it's actually slicking up. It's starting to slick up quite a bit on the entries to turns 1 and 3. So could possibly see some rather interesting lines for qualifying, that's for sure.
Yeah, definitely. It's actually slicking up really quickly, considering we haven't got a huge number of drivers in the field. And I must say, if you're wondering about the quality of the field, you can't get much stronger than having the reigning world champion and the former world champion in these cars in the field, being Tim Ryan from Altus Esports, and current champion Alex Bergeron, who won last week. We had in the last round we had in the box with us 2 weeks ago. Post race, he's enjoying this series. He's doing a very, very good job. But this is a very, very stacked field, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you've got 4 of the Pro Series drivers in this on track here tonight, so it's a very, very competitive field. And even then, discounting them, the field's still relatively competitive. You've got people like Brett Wheeler, James Rice, Trent Gosley, and those sort of drivers who are there or thereabouts with most of the competitive drivers. So it's really going to be interesting to see what tonight brings and who's actually going to come out on top. Obviously, you could probably predict that Bergeron's going to walk away with it, but really will be interesting to see who else possibly could fight for the win.
Well, it'd be good to see Tim Ryan go against him in this round. Of course, Tim was here for the first round, but hasn't been able to commit to any other races. Brenton Hobson, the fan favourites, been doing a very, very good job. Of course, picked up a podium last week to prove that he and I are not the same person. Always funny hearing that Hobbo and I are the same person. But Hobbo has done a very, very good job in this series so far. He is another driver that can come up and surprise people. He always seems to work his way through the field. Very, very good racer, and always seems to find himself up near the pointy end at the end.
Yeah, for sure. He's one of those drivers that you look at and go, he's not necessarily quick, but he knows exactly what he has to do to get to the finish line as quick as possible. So he's there or thereabouts, and with his consistency, usually does quite well in the end in these sort of series races. So it's going to be really interesting to see how he goes tonight and whether he can get another solid result like he did last time out.
As you said too, we've got 4 pro drivers in the field, but there's probably another 4 or 5 that could be pro drivers if the time zone worked for them. So while we say that we've only got the 4 here, we could have a lot more in this field because it is a really competitive field, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the time zones, like you said, all matched up and that sort of thing, you probably have, I'd roughly say, about nearly 10 drivers who could possibly be on that list of pro drivers in tonight's race. So it's, that's how competitive the field is, and it really does go to show the quality of driving from those in the AusNZ community.
So we're 1 minute away from qualifying. It will be a 2-lap qualifying run for everyone, and from there we will set our grids for our heats tonight. Looks like at this stage we will have 2 heats and an A main. And at the moment, Brett Wheeler out on top in the timesheets by around about 0.04 of a second from James Rice. But as you said, practice doesn't usually mean a whole lot. But Brett Wheeler's shown very, very good pace throughout this series, and it's been on top of the timesheets in practice in 4 of the 5 rounds, which usually shows that you are pretty consistent and pretty good paced.
Yeah, for sure. And like we said before, points is the aim of the game. You really want to maximize the amount of points you can possibly get and just make sure you're finishing races and getting those really, very valuable points, especially with the fact that although there's a drop round, you don't want to drop a small amount of points. You want to try and drop as many as you can, just so you've got that buffer of being able to not have to worry about getting a good result every single time out.
Make sure you do subscribe to us here on the iRacing Esports Network as well, because there is heaps and heaps of racing action coming up on this channel throughout the week this week. Not only from us, also our friends at LSR TV, RaceSpot TV, and GSRC, as well as Apex Racing UK, or Apex Racing TV, I should say. It's a big, big week of racing here, and a new series that we're starting off Friday morning Australian time, Thursday night in the US, with the Geodesic GoPro Championship. Looking forward to having that one. It's going to be a really, really cool series and something new for us here at TimSpeed.
Yeah, for sure. We've obviously seen the likes of Sprint Series Australia being around for a bit, and be really, really good to have that American series to get it a bit of a mix-up in terms of the racing, more or less.
Yeah, it's going to be a very, very competitive field, as well as Harry Stewart's the first driver out to do his qual run. Does a 12.6 for the first lap, so that is our benchmark time to watch at this stage. We've got a few drivers going out, but again, a lot of drivers waiting until the latter half of this session to get out there. I know you were one of the drivers that always waited right until the end of the session to see how to do your lap and how to do your run. Cam, what's the thinking behind that?
Usually it's to do with the fact that you mainly want to try and see where the optimum line is. Obviously, as when you're in the car yourself and when you're looking around the track yourself, it's sort of a little bit different as to going, there's slicks there, there and there, and you can see where the grip is, but there's sometimes little tricks like things like using a slider line in a specific first two turns, or doing something by going like right up against the wall in another turn or something like that. It's really, really bizarre what can possibly lead to really, really good lap times as Bergeron goes to P2 does actually not improve on that first lap, so it's going to be interesting to see that. But yeah, it's one of those things that really does come into effect, especially when you've got a competitive field like this, where at the moment it's separated by pretty much just over half a second. So really, really good competitive field, and that small difference of knowing where to run really does make a huge difference.
Yeah, it definitely does. And Lewis Hewitt, you can see, running low for the second lap, a little bit off the pace on that first lap. Second lap though, good time. He will slot in a fourth position, I should say, because Joel Berkeley's just gone to the top of the time sheets on his first lap. He's not even going to run a second one, because that first one is good enough for now. But Tim Ryan sitting in the pits waiting. Is this a little bit of tactic to burn a bit of fuel off?
Possibly, although sitting idling doesn't usually burn a large amount of fuel off. He's probably just waiting to see possibly to hear from a teammate what the other drivers are doing and where he could possibly run the line. Is currently James Rice is about to cross the line, and he will start his first of two laps, running a little bit higher than most of the others are doing from what we can see. It's keeping it out of the slick for the most part, which is good to see. So lap time shouldn't be too bad as he goes to 12.4, so a little bit further down the order. P9 at the moment. That second lap coming along nicely, not doing it too bad. It looks like it's a little bit too slick up top though, so it might have hurt him on that second lap as he comes across the line and doesn't improve. So like we saw there, it's obviously a little bit slick up top, so not really the optimum line to use.
Brenton Hobson jumps into 5th position and may drop back to 6th on this run now, because Tim Ryan is just leaving the pits to start his first flying run, and that'll restore normality if Tim Ryan can slot himself into that top 5, drop Hobbo back to 6th. Ryan about to start his flying lap now. Tim Ryan, the only driver out on track, and just said, it does look like it's a little bit too slick out high. Really, that middle line looks like it's the go at the moment. Tim Ryan slots into 4th. Brenton Hobson will slot back to 6th, so good lap there from Tim. We haven't got many drivers left to do a run. We just see Berkeley still lapping around at the moment, but he doesn't have to do any more laps. He's well and truly safe at the top of the timesheets by the looks of things. Only 2 drivers left to do a lap.
Yeah, Berkeley's well and truly got that line sorted. Really, really interesting to see the fact that he actually ran the high line pretty much the full way around turns 1 and 2, and then did sort of a slider line through 3 and 4. So that sort of strange trick sort of thing happening really has helped him in, as he's not done a quicker time on a second lap. But Brock Wing Yan is on his second, I believe. Yes, so looks like he invalidated his first lap, but through turns 3 and 4 up high, getting very loose on the slick up there. He's going to cross the line, and that will be down in 16th position.
Bit off the pace there, as you said. He didn't look like he was too comfortable, but that is qualifying done. And Berkeley will finish that qualifying run on the top of the timesheets. Quick time with a 12.194. Danny Vassell second. Good job from him to get the second best time. But we go into grid for grid heat number 1. I'll tell you what, how stacked is this grid? Berkeley and Bergeron on the front row. Lewis Hewitt on the second row with Vince Romeo. Daniel Stevens and James Rice. John Schultz and Jai McKenzie. The 8 cars in this field. This is going to be a competitive field for sure.
Yeah, I don't think it mattered which heat you're in at this point. It looks like both grids are very well stacked, especially the front row of this first heat. Like you see with Berkeley and Bergeron filling out those first 2 spots, it's really, really going to be a very competitive race and be very interesting to see who actually comes away with this, because you almost can't say who's going to win with how close it is.
No, not at all. It's going to be very, very tight. Of course, as we said, we've got a smaller field tonight, so 2 heats. The heats will decide our starting grid for our 35 lap A main. And of course, as we've had in every round so far, the caution laps will not count in the A main. So will mean that we can get the races heading a bit longer. And some drivers have been caught out a little bit by that as we've gone throughout the night, haven't they?
Yeah, there has been cases where the longer races, well, the fact that we aren't counting caution laps has caught some people out where they've gone for less fuel because they know the cautions are going to happen, but they get caught out because there's extra running happening. So, yeah, it's one of those very interesting things about dirt. You've got to sort of go either play the risk game, or you've got to go safe and just go either I'm going to be overfueled or I'm actually going to really make it to green.
Yeah, and with it being a little bit longer in regards to laps, but as you said earlier, shorter track, it could make it a little bit interesting to see how people play this with fuel. But we're just waiting for the iRacing pace truck to pull away, and we will get this heat underway. 3 World Championship drivers at the front of the field, being Berkeley, Bergeron and Hewitt. And quite a few other drivers in this field that you could say are good enough to get there. Vince Romeo has been very, very competitive. Daniel Stevens, also James Rice, definitely has had a lot of bad luck in this series. So we could see, if, as we said earlier, if the time zones worked a little bit better, we could see 7 or 8 drivers in this field, maybe even 10, that would be in with a shot of being a World Championship driver.
Yeah, for sure. And like I said just a little bit earlier, just goes to show the competitiveness of what the Oz and Z community on dirt can really do. I mean, there's so many talented drivers who are able to wheel these wing sprint cars so well, but just like you said, the time zone unfortunately doesn't work for us. It's a little bit hard to do it at midday on a weekday, having obviously work or school or something like that. So a little bit of a struggle, but that's the sort of the commitment you have to have as the pace truck pulls off, and we're about to go green as Berkeley goes.
Yeah, Lewis Hewitt read that really well and caught Bergeron out. So tucks right up against the inside wall. We're going to see a lot of running right on that inside wall, but have a look at Bergeron coming back here, trying to get the slide jump done, not quite close enough. Berkeley holding on. There's contact between Berkeley and Vince Romeo takes the lead of this race. Now Bergeron in the front.
It was very, very close. I actually thought Berkeley and Bergeron were actually both going to end up having more issues than they thought they would, but that was very lucky for both of them to get by, as now Berkeley's trying to go around the outside of Vince Romeo, who's holding that middle line. It seems to be working, but Berkeley's going to drive it around the outside. Berkeley in the fence again, so Hewitt's going to take third position, although he's going to run the middle with Romeo, but goes to the high side on the exit of turn 4, so Berkeley now going to have to work his way by, see 4 transfers through to the A main, so it's currently looking like he's in the clear, although car of Daniel Stevens really challenging for that final transfer spot.
Yeah, definitely. So Daniel Stevens in 5th position. James Rice a little bit off the pace, but it's on now between Hewitt and Romeo. Vince Romeo, very, very impressive run early on in this race, as we are now coming up 4 laps to go as they cross the line. And Lewis Hewitt up the inside, not quite able to cover off. Vince Romeo will get the run. Oh, good job there from Lewis Hewitt.
Yeah, really, really good job to get traction down on the bottom of the racetrack. So the bottom of the racetrack starting to really come into its own effect at this point. It's interesting to see the lines. You can obviously see the top has got a lot of momentum, but that bottom has so much drive off the turns of turn 2 and 4.
No!
Berkeley has gone out with Vince Romeo.
Vince Romeo around, and Berkeley's actually checking up because he looks like he's trying to redress that position because he knows that he's in the wrong there. Actually returned the car to the pits, but Alex Bergeron Now we'll come across the line. There's another car in the fence there too. That's Lewis Hewitt in the fence. So Daniel Stevens is now in second position. James Rice in third. And Jai McKenzie in fourth position. As Alex Bergeron picks up the win. Daniel Stevens in second. Rice third. McKenzie fourth. Wowee.
That is probably the most mixed up top four you could possibly think of. You didn't know what was going to happen in that race. Unfortunately, both Hewitt and Berkeley will have to come through the B main. But yeah, what a race that was. Just action throughout it, left, right, and centre.
We now move into heat number 2. Danny Vassell and Tim Ryan on the front row. Then Brenton Hobson and Brett Wheeler. Bradley Sanders and Harry Stewart. And then James Robbie and Brock Winjang on the fourth row for this one. And again, another very, very stacked field. You've got 5 drivers that you could probably say are pro quality, with Tim Ryan being one of those, of course, being a former world champion himself. This is a very, very competitive field again. It's great to see how close and tight all of these drivers are.
Yeah, for sure. And you could almost say that James Robbie in 7th could even possibly be in with a shot with getting through to the A main automatically. So it's a really, really stacked field tonight in both heats. So going to be really action-packed and interesting to see who makes it through and who has to do the work through the consolation.
Also got Trent Gossley in this race as well, but I don't know if he's going to take to the grid. So we wait for the iRacing pace truck to pull away. Get heat 2 underway. It's a big thank you for everyone for tuning in, and big news coming from the series today that one of the major sponsors, being Murray Bridge Bin Manufacturing, has increased the prize pool for this series. So what was $100 now up to $300. So it's great to see a bit of extra money, a bit of extra prize money, a bit of extra incentive for some of these drivers out on track.
Yeah, for sure. It's always good to see, obviously, the incentive of prize money and that sort of stuff increase, just to make the sort of trying to work towards it a little bit harder. Obviously, you work very hard as you do at the current stage with how competitive the field is, but having to work just a little bit harder to try and get that extra bit of prize money really does help as the pace car pulls off again, and we're underway for heat 2.
And a good jump from Danny Vassell at the front of the field. It's absolutely broken away from Tim Ryan, and Brenton Hobson trying to go up the inside, not quite close enough. Brett Wheeler stuck a little bit further back than we would have expected in 5th position. Tim Ryan just clips the wall. This is a very, very hotly contested first lap. Vassell, Ryan, Hobson and Sanders still the top 4.
Yeah, Wheeler's really trying to make that transfer spot at the moment. He's having to work for it quite a bit, but that middle just seems to be working not too bad as he's in the fence, so he'll drop back to about 7th position. So now James Robbie and Bradley Sanders are going to be on the bubble, but now Sanders trying to challenge that position against Brenton Hobson, gets very sideways, so he'll lose out a bit, but at the moment he's still got that transfer.
Yeah, and Tim Ryan has made his way past Danny Vassell as well, but Hobson, Sanders very, very close and competitive. Brett Wheeler's dropped back to 7th. Brock Yang's all the way back now, a full second off the pace. Here comes Bradley Sanders up the inside, not quite able to cover off, and James Robbie's going to have the momentum as we hit the halfway point in heat number 2.
And you just saw in the background there, Brett Wheeler really throwing it in hard into turn number 4 to try and get a slide job done. Didn't quite get it done, but now Hobson and Sanders side by side. Sanders to the bottom, Hobson to the top side. Hobson's going to get the momentum run around the outside, so he'll hold on to position number 3. Sanders still trying to make that bottom line work, but not quite able to have the momentum like the top side does, so that's not quite helping. But now James Robbie trying to make that top side work, so he'll try and get that position, that final transfer. He's only got 3 laps to do it, but he's got some decent pace by the looks of it, so he might just be able to get it done.
Brett Wheeler around in the background, he's in the fence, so he's out of this one. He will finish this race in 8th position. It's still on between James Robbie, Harry Stewart also around, he's also in the fence. So then there were 6, James Robbie, Bradley Sanders for that 4th position. As we're on the final lap of this race, Tim Ryan has broken away at the front. Danny Vassell's holding on to Brenton Hobson in 3rd, but these two are going at it right to the line. Who's going to get it at the end? It's going to be tight. I think James Robbie might get there.
He's just got it.
No. Yes, just. Nothing in it in the end. 42 thousandths of a second in the end, separating first and second position. Tim Ryan, Danny Vassell, Brenton Hobson, and James Robbie, the top four. We actually won't have a B main tonight, so we are going to get straight into the A main. The rest of the results on screen there. Bradley Sanders, Brock Wingjan, Brett Wheeler, and Harry Stewart. The 8 cars, so we get into our warm-up now. Everyone gets a chance to reset, get themselves out on track, get a feel for the circuit again, because the guys that were out there early in Heat 1, or maybe didn't get many laps in their heat, get another chance to get out and have a feel for the track. Of course, as we said, a longer race coming up now means that we're going to have a few drivers out there that will be looking for a bit of redemption after that heat.
Yeah, for sure. There's quite a few drivers who should probably be starting further up than they normally would. You've obviously got Joel Berkeley, Brett Wheeler, Lewis Hewitt, all starting well buried in the pack, 13th, 14th, 15th, so well outside the top 10. They've got a lot of work to do. 35 laps though, so it shouldn't be too hard for them to muscle their way through the field and get towards that front end, but it's going to be some tough work. And looking at the track, there's some very, very different lines being able to use. Obviously, you've got that good bottom side still relatively fresh, but that top side's got quite a bit of momentum, so will really, really be interesting to see who does what and what's going to work the best.
Looks like through the entry, you want to be on the inside because it's a little bit grippier on the inside, but on the exit, you want to be on the outside. So you're seeing the two lines really working. Now everyone's just trying the middle at the moment to get a real feel for it, as we've got a minute 20 left in this warm-up session. We thank you all for tuning in tonight, and as we said, there's a big week coming up here for us at SimSpeed, and a big week here on the iRacing Esports Network tomorrow in America. Tomorrow AM for us is the next round of the iRacing Peak eNASCAR series. That should be another very competitive round. It's been an awesome series so far, Cam. We've enjoyed watching it. I don't know, you've been watching it and I have. It's been really, really cool to watch.
Yeah, it's been really interesting having that new package in the eNASCAR series, obviously being quite a bit different to what we had last year. You've got much more downforce, much more grip and that sort of stuff. So it's really making the racing exciting. A lot of pack racing, especially at the likes of Charlotte and that sort of stuff. It was almost a mini Daytona sort of thing where you had a lot of guys really pushing it 110% pretty much the whole way. So really going to be interesting to see how tomorrow goes. And yeah, like I said, going to be interesting to watch and can't wait for it.
Yeah, looking forward to it. That will be from 11 AM Australian Eastern Standard Time, 1 PM New Zealand, 9 PM in the States tonight, Eastern Time that is, and you can catch it here with our friends at RaceSpot here on the iRacing Esports Network as we get ready to go for our A main. This is going to be a really, really heated race. I have a funny feeling that we're going to see a few egos come out to play here, and we could see something really spicy and the racing go a little bit south. But we'll see, because there is live race control in this series as well. So someone does cause an issue and brings out the caution with an accident, they do get sent to the back of the field, just like in real life. With Bergeron and Ryan, though, how's that for a front row? Current world champion, former world champion, front row. Daniel Stevens and Danny Vassell. The Daniels on the second row, with James Rice and Brenton Hobson on the third row. Joe McKenzie and James Robbie on the fourth row. John Schultz, Bradley Sanders on the fifth row. Vince Romeo and Brock Wingjan on the sixth row. Then the guys that you would expect to be up the pointy end: Lewis Hewitt, Brett Wheeler and Joel Berkeley, 13th, 14th and 15th, with Harry Stewart rounding out our 16-car field. This is going to be really intense.
Yeah, 100%. It's going to be all about really keeping an eye on those three at the back and seeing what they're going to be able to do, because while it's a long race, it's a short circuit, so laps are going to go by relatively quickly, and like you see, we might possibly see some egos come out of the woodwork and cause a bit of a stir up. So we'll really be interesting to see how it goes, but the pace truck pulls away and we are not too far away from going racing.
So the A main for 35 laps. We are about to get it underway. Big thank you for tuning in, and we are back again next week too. Memories left me on where we are next week, though. Yeah, I've got a funny feeling we're at Dora next week. No, at Limerland next week. Limerland, which that from previous rounds, previous seasons. Daniel Stevens actually stuck in the pits. Surprising, he was up near the front of the field, so disappointing to see him. We've actually got Trent Gosling out on track as well. But Limerland always turns on a show. It's a really, really cool track.
Yeah, for sure. High bank, short track, really, really good for racing, especially like we saw in the Pro Series. But the truck is off and lights are away. And good jump from Bergeron to take the lead straight away from Tim Ryan.
Yeah, great jump from Bergeron, but Tim Ryan's not letting him go easily. They're side by side through turns 3 and 4. And have a look at James Rice getting involved here. This is great to see James Rice getting up there and fighting with these guys. Brenton Hobson there as well. Jai McKenzie also doing a great job as the caution is out for the first time. We've got Trent Schultz who's dropped back down the field.
Yeah, bit of contact between Brock Wing Yan and Trent Gosley by the looks of it, further back in the field, coming down the front straight actually. A bit of unsightedness by the looks of it, having obviously come down on towards Trent Gosley. So really, really unfortunate there for the cars of those two. But under caution, this will really be able to give some of the guys at least some breathing time to sit back and just re-energise themselves after having just come through the field.
And yeah, as you said, Gosley and Vince Romeo, by the looks of things, Vince Romeo's been sent to the rear of the field by the looks of things. So Romeo's been given an end-of-line penalty, I believe. Cam, you might be able to see that more accurately than me, though.
I do believe he has been by the looks of it, so you are correct.
I don't know, I can get something right. As Bergeron now leads again from Tim Ryan. James Rice, I'm very impressed with that run at the start there from James Rice. Great to see him really pushing Tim Ryan to try and take that second place away. And I almost lost it there as the caution came out as we get ready to go green again. Start lap number 3. Great jump from Bergeron.
Yeah, for sure. He's got that really good, but Rice on the bottom, really making that bottom end of the racetrack work.
Have a look at Tim Ryan though. He's run really wide. He's hit the wall. He's going to lose at least one spot, maybe lose 2 or 3 here because here comes Lewis Hewitt through and Brenton Hobson. Hobson not able to get through, but Lewis Hewitt's fighting really hard. James Rice is already pulling a gap. And they're 3 wide through 3 and 4. As the caution comes out again, we've got a wreck in the back. Joel Berkeley involved in this one.
Yeah, looks like he actually did that all on his own. He actually clipped the inside wall and just ended up rotating. So his own fault. Lucky to come away with no damage though.
Just clipped the inside wall and in a way he's probably lucky that the caution came out there because it's meant that he's able to maintain his position, but there's a chance there he could have lost a whole heap of ground if the caution didn't come out. It's very, very close for the caution not coming out. We get ready to go again.
Yeah, he was actually lucky not to get collected either by pretty much everyone behind him because he was so close to doing it, especially being roughly in the middle of the field. So was very, very lucky not to get collected at all and actually get no damage by the looks of it. So keep on going, but he's got a lot of work to do, especially starting all the way back in the field again.
Yep, back in 14th position. And interesting thing is Tim Ryan was scored in 5th position behind Brenton Hobson when the caution came out. So he is now back to 5th position. Started that restart in 2nd, start of lap 2 or the start of lap 3. He'll restart lap 5, way back in 5th. This is going to be a tough ask for Tim Ryan. Alex Bergeron's probably happy as the green flag flies again. There's already bumping going on in the background. Tim Ryan trying to make moves, get it down the inside on Brenton Hobson, not able to do it. Have a look at the run from Jai McKenzie though.
Yeah, McKenzie's got an absolutely amazing run around that top side. Like we were talking about, it's got some absolutely amazing momentum on exit, but he's just not quite able to get the job done. Unfortunately, he sit behind Tim Ryan, but Ryan still trying to make that top side work around at the outside of Brenton Hobson. It looks like it's got just enough grip and momentum to manage it at the moment, and it's looking like he's going to get the job done out of turn number 2. He's going to go down to the middle of the racetrack, try to find some grip. Not quite able to get Lewis Hewitt, but he'll get Brenton Hobson 3 wide currently through turns 1 and 2. Those 3 are. Hewitt will hold on to the position, but Hobson still making that bottom end of the racetrack work, and he'll hold on to that position from Tim Ryan for the time being as we've got another caution.
Yeah, we do, and Trent Gostley involved in that one, so we'll get another Motum simulation replay and see what's happened there. And Tim Ryan got himself up into third for a moment, and then all of a sudden, he's found himself way back in fifth again, and Trent Gostley's just looped that one all on his own, and was trying to regather it, and I think he's possibly got a little bit of damage, and that's what's brought out that caution. The Bergeron now leads. We are on lap 8 of 35. Fingers crossed that well, the race in Sim has been set for 70 laps. Hopefully we don't get to that number again, because that was where we got to last round. Almost meant that we didn't finish the race. And as we said earlier, a few drivers got caught out with fuel.
Yeah, for sure. It's a little bit awkward when you go, I'm actually not going to make it in a -100 at this point in the race with only a handful of laps to go. So, yeah, it'll be really interesting to see who's done what with fuel. Obviously, we've had a few cautions so far, obviously, and in some laps is saying 70, so it is correct. But like I said, fuel is probably going to be a very interesting one, and depending on the line some of these guys are running, they'll save a bit of fuel compared to if they were running right up against the outside fence. So, going to be one of those things, and you might possibly see some people go down to the bottom just to save a little bit of fuel as well.
Yep. Very, very thirsty when it's on the outsiders. Here we go. Get ready to go again. Bergeron, great jump once more. Lewis Hewitt's been caught out a little bit. Tim Ryan's read it perfectly on the inside, but everyone's followed him through on the inside as well. And look, Danny Vassell, Bradley Sanders, John McKenzie's dropped all the way back as well. Those SSR cars look good on the inside, but Lewis Hewitt through on James Rice into second position. Now starting to challenge Bergeron a little bit. He's got cars around in the background. We stay green for now, though. James Robbie's dropped to the back of the field. Lewis Hewitt, though, is fighting hard here with Bergeron to try and get through. And Brenton Hobson is fighting as Bergeron's around.
Very, very lucky for Tim Ryan to actually not end up getting collected there in any of the SSR cars. Hobson actually got involved, but no damage by the looks of it. So really, really unfortunate for Bergeron. Lucky for Hobson. So they'll really spice this field up as now Tim Ryan moves into second position. So this is going to be some big asking. We've got contact back in the field.
Here we do. Danny Vassell's involved in that. He's facing the wrong direction. We're going to get a couple of replays here while we can under this caution, because wowee. Bergeron did that one all on his own as well. So firstly, let's get the incident here for Danny Vassell and see what's happened. Was there help there? Actually, Bradley Sanders up the inside. There's been contact between those two. Vassell might have... Oh, actually, Vassell's slowed up from the incident for Bergeron. We'll go back a little bit further here and pick up what's happened to Alex Bergeron. You can see here in the lead of the race. It's coming up here through turns 1 and 2. Just hits the wall as he goes to turn in, and there's no grip. And as you said, Hobson got cleaned up really, really big. And he might have a little bit of damage to that rear right wheel.
Yeah, I'll actually be surprised if the car's still quite clean. Like you said, might have a little bit of damage, but it doesn't seem to be affecting him too bad at the moment. So we'll see how he goes on this next restart and whether he's actually got some damage or not.
Just hearing too from Daniel Stevens that he has had a brake failure, which is why he is out of the race and wasn't able to take the start as we go green on lap 13. Hewitt, Ryan and Rice, another different front of the field. Bergeron back in 6th position, trying to make his way through very, very quickly on Bradley Sanders as Hewitt and Rice battle for the lead, and James Rice has lost out big time. Here comes Tim Ryan through.
Yeah, Ryan actually caught the outside wall there in turns 3 and 4, so he's lost a little bit of ground to Lewis Hewitt, but Bergeron making an absolute comeback through the top 5 after that moment earlier on. Now Hewitt's going to go to the top side, and Ryan trying to make that bottom work, not quite going to get it done. Bergeron's going to stay up top and see if he can get it to work. Ryan's trying to make that slide line work, but it's not going to happen, and Bergeron and Ryan make contact side by side into turn 1, but Bergeron's going to take the position. Ryan's into the fence, and that's Brenton Hobson into the wall.
We stay green for the moment. I have to think it's going to bring out a caution. No, we stay green for now. So that'll be unfortunate for Hobson. He'll be hoping for a caution very, very soon. So we are nearly at the halfway point of this race. 17 laps in, we'll get the halfway mark in a lap and a half. Tim Ryan, though, he has to work hard to get back up the front. Hewitt's pulled 1.3 seconds. And Joel Berkeley, Tim Ryan do not look comfortable in this race at all. Oh, no! Wow, that was huge.
That was just simply from Berkeley sliding up a little bit too late in front of Tim Ryan, and Tim Ryan just caught Berkeley's right rear, and that was it, straight into the outside wall, pretty much where you'd come onto the track if it was an outside pit line, and that was a huge incident for Tim Ryan.
Go back and have a look at this incident too for Brenton Hobson. He'll be absolutely devastated about how this has played out. So we stay under caution for a little bit longer on lap 19 of this race. That was Tim Ryan just getting checked up from Alex Bergeron. And then as he's regathered the car, he's just come down in front of Brenton Hobson. I don't think Tim Ryan really was in control of the car at all there, and Hobson, absolute innocent bystander.
Yeah, it's really, really tough, and that's some of the incidents you can tend to see on these slicker tracks when it's really, really difficult to get the power down. You just can see guys lose a bit of control of the car, and unfortunately incidents like that can happen sometimes.
Amazing the amount of smoke coming from pit lane from Tim Ryan's car. It looks like the car's on fire. So hopefully the pit crew could fix that up as we start lap number 20. 16 laps to go in this race. Green flag flies and a great jump from all of the front three. Have a look at James Rice straight to the inside to try and get through. Not quite able to do it.
Yeah, didn't quite have the momentum that time by on the bottom, but that top side is really, really coming to its own at the moment. Hewitt and Bergeron both absolutely railing the fence, trying to get some grip. Hewitt's just got enough under him at the moment that he might just make it work and hold off Bergeron, but just behind, we'll see that battle between Sanders, Wheeler and also Rice all going on for those minor positions further back. It's looking like Berkeley's trying to make that top side work as well, but back to the front of the field, Bergeron still not making it quite work up top. Hewitt's got that lead, but at the moment it's still all on at that middle of the pack, just inside the top five between Sanders, Berkeley and McKenzie, who are all trying to find different lines. Berkeley's managed to make that top side work, and he's absolutely driving around at the outside of everyone, so he's now up into P number 4. And now Sanders trying to get to the high side. Rice still trying to make that bottom work, but now Bergeron's closing in on Hewitt, who seems to just be lacking a little bit at the moment, but it's still all on.
10 laps to go now when they cross the line. The gap, 0.3 of a second. There's nothing separating first and second. Berkeley's making his way back through on James Rice. I must say John Schultz is doing a great job as well, currently in 6th position. Here comes Berkeley. He's going to get the job done around the outside this time on James Rice and through into 3rd position, so that will really help Joel Berkeley in this championship fight. But at the front of the field, Lewis Hewitt and Alex Bergeron are fighting and fighting hard. There'll be 8 laps to go. Bergeron's made a little mistake and he's dropping back through the field. Has he got damage to the car? Because he has lost a whole heap of ground.
I think he might have. He did clip the wall quite hard that last time by through turn 3 and 4 on that last lap, so might have some damage, although doesn't appear to be like it's too severe. He did manage to do the same lap time as Hewitt pretty much on that last lap, so not doing too bad. But Joel Berkeley 2/10 a lap quicker that last time by than Bergeron and Hewitt, so Berkeley's got some massive pace on him and he's just absolutely hounding him with only a handful of laps to go.
13.6 for Hewitt, 13.3 for Berkeley, so he's well and truly on a charge. Gap between Bergeron and Hewitt is closing down as well, as just seeing a change in position back in the field. Vince Romeo through on Jai McKenzie. Bergeron's got it back down to 0.7 of a second as we've got 4 laps to go. This is lap number 32 of 35. Bergeron and Hewitt going at it, and Berkeley looks like he may not have the pace to come back. Lewis Hewitt looks like he's dropping in pace as a caution comes out. We've got an incident back in the field. I believe John Schultz involved in this one.
Yeah, really, really unfortunate for those top three, obviously, to have that caution come out. And like I said, that caution was caused by John Schultz just upping the inside wall into turn one by the
Oh.
looks of it. So, really unfortunate.
Vince Romeo did a great job to avoid making contact there. Have a look at this on board here with Vince Romeo. It's a bit of damage to the front wing.
Yeah, Romeo really trying to run that middle line and nearly
was
collected
close.
John Schultz. That was some amazing wreck avoidance there from Romeo to actually not end up making contact. But this caution is going to reset that top three, and you would almost bet that this is going to be something that Joel Blakey was looking for. He was on an absolute charge with some amazing pace, and now with this field closed up, it's really going to mix things up, that's for sure.
And we believe that there's 3 laps to go. We believe this will be the start of lap number 33 of 35. So under our understanding, we will have 3 laps to go between Hewitt, Bergeron and Berkeley. Berkeley looks like he's got the strongest car. Bergeron and Hewitt both look like they're struggling a little bit as we go green. And a great jump from Lewis Hewitt. Alex Bergeron straight to the inside to try and get through. This is going to be close. Hewitt's going to come back though, and Bergeron leads for a moment. Hewitt back through up the inside. He's going to get it done. But have a look at James Rice coming here on the inside. 2 to go.
Yeah, that inside not quite able to work, but Bergeron's throwing us another slide job, and
Here
Berkeley's
comes
going to try
Berkeley.
and go around the outside, 3 wide. The TTL car's splitting Bergeron, and now Bergeron's going to try another slide job, not going to clear it.
White
The
flag.
slide intercept. Berkeley's going to try and throw it up the inside of Bergeron for second place. Hewitt looks like he might have the job done. Berkeley going to throw one last slide into turns 3 and 4, but Hewitt's going to take the race win. Berkeley and Bergeron will drag race it to the line, and Bergeron will barely get the placing from Berkeley.
Wow, what a race. Congratulations, guys. Well done to Lewis Hewitt picking up the win tonight. Lewis Hewitt, your race winner. The standings do adjust on screen because we can't give results because technically the race hasn't ended. But Lewis Hewitt is officially the race winner. Wowee, what a night of racing that was. That's been our most entertaining night in this series so far. That long green flag run was incredible in the middle of that race.
Yeah, absolutely. There was some amazing racing all night long throughout that feature, and those last 3 laps were absolutely amazing. So credit to everyone that was racing tonight for putting on a great show.
Straight away, we got Lewis Hewitt jumping in the booth with us. Congratulations, mate. That was a fantastic fight at the end. Looked like your pace had dropped off with a couple to go, but you just had enough in the end to get there.
Yeah, that was a really, really great fight at the end with Joel and Alex there. He sent it with me a few times and then just managed to drive around the top. That was really fun, that race.
Talk us through how the car was behaving towards the end there. We noticed the pace had definitely dropped off. We were worried that you might not have had enough left, but what happened there?
I think it's just me not being particularly good. Yeah, I was really comfortable up until that last caution. I was hoping it wouldn't come out because I knew I had enough to hold them off. But then, yeah, the caution came out, and I think I sort of lost my head a bit there and spinning some tires and didn't have the best lines.
It's a good recovery after a disappointing start to the championship for you. Second half of the season, obviously, you wanting to improve quite a lot.
Yeah, definitely. I think I got 1 win so far. Missed a round and had a terrible result, so not looking good. But to come away with a win tonight is a nice boost.
Who would you like to thank, mate?
As always, TTL Esports and all our supporters, Simworks, down on the graphics, Tie Designs, yeah, and big thank you to Bob for giving us this league to run, and you guys for the broadcast.
Lewis Hewitt, your race winner there for tonight. We go to 3rd place next, Joel Berkeley. That was an interesting finale to the race. You didn't have the best run throughout the night. You had to work really hard to get that result. But in the end, P3 just.
Yeah, I don't even know. Can we not talk about like the first, apart from the qualifying can we end the race in qualifying?
Well, you can talk about the first lap and the last lap. How's that?
That was good. That last restart sort of saved me from being out of the run. I think I had a chance to win it, but I probably stood on it because I've ran too much pro trucks as of late and not any of these. But that's my own fault, not anyone else's.
Next week we head to Limaland. Looking forward to that one.
Oh, it's Limeland, is it?
Yep, Limaland next week.
Ooh. Well, interesting enough, I ran my Lima Land setup tonight, so it might be all right there.
Who would you like to thank, mate?
Hopefully it's all right. But mass thanks to the guys at TTL Esports, Simworks, Star Design, Sound to Graphics. You guys for broadcasting, Bob for putting the show on, and everyone else for showing up and putting on some good racing for everyone. It's a blast.
Got 3 rounds to go. It's going to be really, really tight. Congratulations on a great result tonight, Joel Berkeley.
Yeah, well, hopefully we can make those last 3 rounds, but we should be all good and see where it puts us in points after a drop. Finishing behind that 12 car isn't always going to get you points, is it?
No, not when he's leading the championship. Good luck for the rest of the championship anyway.
Gonna need it. Cheers.
Cam, what a night of racing we've had. That was the best we've had in this season so far, and we've got better every week. The racing quality has improved and got so much more entertaining every week.
Yeah, absolutely. And it'll only get better as we get further and further into this championship. So hopefully the last round puts it on and we can't beat it. So yeah, it'll be really, really good to see the rest of the championship and see how it plays out and who's going to come away with it. And hopefully we get a really, really close championship.
As we said, next week we'll be back live from 8 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. But the rest of the week for us here, Friday morning Australian Eastern Standard Time at 10:45 a.m. Here in the West, we'll be sim racing breakfast with Reese and I for the Geodesic GoPro Championship. And then Friday night, we'll have the final round of AOSC, Western Mazda AOSC, as we head to Bathurst for 650Ks. And next week from 8 p.m. we'll be back again. Cam, thanks for jumping in again tonight. Hope you've had a great birthday. A bit of sim racing for your birthday. Can't be much better than that.
Yeah, I'm not going to complain. Obviously, a little bit older now, being 22, so
Jeez,
getting along in my age. But
getting along, jeez.
yeah, it's I can't complain having a bit of commentary and a bit of sim racing. Can't really complain.
Thank you everyone for tuning in. Remember to subscribe here on the iRacing Esports Network to keep up to date with all of the awesome sim racing action. And we will see you next time. Your winner tonight, it's been Lewis Hewitt.
This is fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction, he's going around the outside of both of them! Maloney!
Oh, he's taken Anderson. Anderson's up to him.
Oh my God!
Big crash. Oh my goodness, half the field's going to get rolled.
Second very close. These guys I want to make their way through the field very quickly. Oh, there we go!
Oh no!
That's massive! This is it! This is over! I can't believe this! Oh my God!
God, what?